What's up guys? Welcome back to another creepy video. Yes, I'm back with a paranormal video. I've done 2 law of attraction videos so far, so it's time to throw another paranormal out there because I need there to be an even mixture because I have equal passion for both the paranormal and for the law of assumption, law of attraction, whatever you call it. It's a law of assumption. Anyway, I have equal passion for them. Therefore, I can never stop doing paranormal on this channel. I'm too interested in it. I just can't stop. I gotta do both. So, if you're into manifesting and you're into scary stuff, this is the place for you. So go ahead and join the Mermaid Gang, like this video, get YouTube pushing my stuff so we can entertain and educate the world. So the other day I decided to Google interesting haunted places because I don't want to keep doing stuff that everybody's already done. I'm not backpacking off anybody's videos. I want to find my own cool stuff to talk about. If you've heard of it, great. If you haven't, even better. So what I came across was most haunted places in the world that are not for the faint of heart. So the first place we're going to talk about is the Tower of London. Obviously in London, England. So the Tower of London was built by William the Conqueror in 1078. In this tower's 1,000 years, yes, 1,000 years, you can only imagine the amount of murder and torture this place has seen, which normally results in very angry spirits. It's been an armory, it's been a prison, it has been a torture and execution room, and things not so horrible like a treasury and a public records office. But no, the first 3 though, those are the ones. But of all the things that it has been named, it is most known to be one of the most haunted places in London. So the most famous ghost that supposedly roams this tower is actually the wife of Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, and she was beheaded in the tower in 1536. People that have seen her say that she sometimes is spotted carrying her head under her arm. Other apparitions that have been spotted in the tower include Henry VI, who was murdered inside Wakefield Tower, and an apparition that people have named the White Lady. Apparently you can smell her perfume all through the place. Some visitors have claimed to have seen the very violent scene of the murder of the Countess of Salisbury. She was said to be executed in 1541, but she refused to put her head on the scaffold. I mean, who can blame her though? Like, I'm not going down without a fight. I'm not just gonna take my head. I'm not just gonna give it to you. So basically the executioner had to chase her down and hit her. Had to strike her, put her down. And apparently the ghosties like to reenact that scene for the visitors. So they have seen it. That would be terrible. The Rose Hall Great House in Montego Bay, Jamaica. The Rose Hall Great House is a Georgian mansion that was built in the 1770s. So apparently all of the paranormal activity is blamed on one woman, Annie Palmer. Annie Palmer is also known as the White Witch. She was a voodoo practitioner. She arrived in 1820, killed her 3 husbands various lovers and slaves. Apparently, she moved to Jamaica in the 1800s looking for a wealthy husband. She was trying to get her a man with some money, and she happened to lock down the owner of the Rose Hall estate. His name was John Palmer, and not long after they were married, she poisoned him. She repeated that same pattern 2 more times. She also spent a lot of time torturing and killing and beating anyone who went against her. Apparently, she ended up killing the family member of one of her lovers. His name was Taku, and he killed her in her sleep. He actually was a voodoo practitioner as well, and after he killed her, he performed a ritual to keep her ass in her grave because he was even afraid of her after death. However, they say for some reason the ritual was not completed and her ass still be roaming around as a creepy ass mean ghost. They say that she can be found in photos frequently in the halls. They also hear hurried footsteps. They hear whispers in the dungeon. They hear babies crying, music, and tapping on the walls. So, still to this day, she's torturing people, but in a different way. Now, this one you may have heard of because I believe there is a movie on this. I'm pretty sure I watched this movie like 2 or 3 times. It is the Whaley House in San Diego, California. And I know a lot of people are from California, so you probably know exactly what this is, but I'm including it anyway. It's on this list, and if I'm right and that is the movie, this shit is creepy. So the Whaley House is definitely labeled one of the most haunted places in the United States. The house was built in 1857 by Thomas Whaley, and it was built on a partial cemetery. And the legend says that over the centuries, there have been many busy spirits. One of the earliest documented ghosts was James Robinson. He was hanged to death on the property off of the back of a wagon in 1852. They call him Yankee Jim, and they say his spirit never left. Other spirits spotted are Whaley and his wife and their daughter, who appears as a child, and then their dog, who actually licks people's legs. Well, licks women's legs. Another ghost is a little girl who often appears in the home's dining room. A psychic named Sybil Leek visited the property in 1960, and she actually saw her. This was her claim of the little girl. It was a long-haired girl. She was very quick, you know, in a longish dress. She went to the table in this room, and I went to the chair. Some people think it was one of the Whaley daughter's friends who was apparently playing with her on the property and clotheslined herself and broke her neck on a literal low-hanging clothesline, and she died. So they say that you kind of just have to experience it yourself. People try to explain it away, but in a lot of people's opinions, it is one of the most haunted places in the United States. So next, this one is very interesting for me. The next haunted place on our list is Poveglia Island, Italy. This island is actually off limits to visitors, and according to legend, it is very haunted. So apparently you can hear the bell towers clanging coming from the island, and you can also hear very eerie screams and moans. They supposedly echo across the water. So at one point it was a self-governed island, but it eventually became a burial ground from those who died of the plague. It was also a place that they put soon-to-be victims of the plague. So both dead and barely living were left on the island to either be buried, to be burned, or to just rot. That already made it creepy. But in 1922, a mental hospital was built on the island. And apparently, the secluded island was used for doctors to, you can only imagine, enact very twisted procedures and fantasies on these poor people. One doctor was believed to have conducted lobotomies on these patients with no anesthesia. He apparently performed his darkest experiments inside of the bell towers, which is why you can allegedly still hear the screaming of the tortured patients across the water. But eventually he got his karma because he was so tortured by the spirits of the people that he tortured that it drove him completely insane. Eastern State Penitentiary. So at the very height of its use, they crammed 1,700 inmates into cells, including Al Capone in 1929. But apparently by 1940, that's when the ghost shit popped off. And there were spirits said to be harassing the inmates and the guards. It was the most famous and the most expensive prison in the entire world when it was running. The guards were not so amazing, and they punished harshly, which many believe is the reason that there are some angry spirits running around there. Encounters have included evil laughing, faces, you can see faces in the cells, and creepy voices echoing down the halls. And apparently Al Capone was tortured by the spirit of a man that he murdered. James Clark murdered him during the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and apparently that spirit tormented him. So in 1971 it was abandoned, and it's been abandoned ever since, and apparently the only thing left behind are the poor tortured spirits. Alright, now we're going to move on to the Ancient Ram Inn in England, another place in England. So this inn entertains the idea of ghosts. That's why people stay there. The inn was built on a pagan burial ground in the 12th century, so you can understand why people go ahead and just assume it's freaking haunted. And that kind of thing is not just haunted, that's like haunted. People love the haunted atmosphere because it's got the musty smells and the creaky floorboards. It's very old and rustic. So apparently the property was actually haunted before the inn was even built. So legends actually say that the property is directly related to England's most famous sacred site, Stonehenge, which is apparently a very large source of paranormal power. Now this, my dear friend, these ghost sightings are not of little white ladies and old men. These sightings are of demons. Two demons in particular. They claim one is a succubus and one is an incubus. A witch, poltergeists, and orbs. Why are y'all staying there? Why are y'all staying there? In fact, many people that have stayed there have undergone exorcisms after they left. They needed exorcisms. So one of the most famous ghosts at this inn is of a witch who was burned at the stake, and obviously she's still seen roaming around. Now where it gets very terrifying is the part where a man named John Humphreys actually bought the place, moved in it, and on his very first night he was tortured by these spirits, demons. He says that a demonic force grabbed him by his leg and dragged him across the room. But in spite of such, he still lives there today with all the freaking spirits. Entities. We're gonna call them entities. He still lives there with all the entities. But the reason that this place is so haunted is because the history is full of murder, sacrifices of children, and pagan rituals. Our very last haunted place is going to be, I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but Bangar or Bangar Fort in India. I don't know, but this place is cursed. It is allegedly one of the most haunted places in India. The fort was built in 1573 AD. It was built by the ruler of Amber for his son. A sorcerer cursed the palace after Princess Ratnavati denied his advances. She didn't want him, so he cursed their palace. The sorcerer was a tantric priest who practiced black magic, and he had fallen in love with this princess. He knew she was out of his league, but he tried to work his magic to make her have feelings for him. He actually put something in her perfume to make her fall in love with him, but she found out and threw the bottle at his head. It apparently turned into a boulder, a rock, and crushed him. His final words cursed the fort to death and condemned all souls to be imprisoned in the palace for centuries. After that, the whole town was abandoned. The Indian government prohibited anyone from entering that area after sunset. According to legend, this curse has made the entire fort uninhabitable. The only things that can live there are the ghosts. It is said that you can hear eerie voices echo from the fort. Animals run away from it as soon as it starts getting dark. Every time a roof is built, it collapses. And anyone who dares enter this haunted place after dark will not return. So if you enjoyed hearing about these really interesting haunted places, please give me a like. If you enjoy videos like this, go ahead and join the Mermaid Gang. Suspend your disbelief. Let's get scary. And in other videos, let's get manifesting. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video, and we out.